One chapter.
Yep.
Let me get my glasses on. After the flood, 1957. The terror, which would not end for another 28 years, if it ever did, began, so far as I know or could tell, with a boat made from a sheet of newspaper floating down the gutter, swollen with the rain. What was that?
No.
What would you say?
I didn't say
I
anything.
heard something there.
There's a stomach.
Interesting. You can't be hungry. You ate a big meal.
I'm full. Keep reading.
The boat bobble listened and righted itself again, dived bravely through the treacherous whirlpool, and continued on its way down the Willem Street toward the traffic light, which marked the intersection of Witcham and Jackson. The three vertical lenses on all sides of the traffic light were dark this afternoon, the fall of 1957, and the houses were all dark too. There had been a steady rain for a week now. 2 days ago the winds had come as well. Most section of the dairy had lost their power then, and it was not back on yet. What?
Keep reading.
Jesus. A small boy in a yellow slicker and red galoshes ran cheerfully alongside the paper boat. The rain had not stopped, but it was long beside the paper boat. Rain had not stopped, but it was finally slackening. It rapped on the yellow hood of the boy's slicker, sounding his ears like rain on a shed roof. A comfortable, almost cozy sound. The boy in the yellow slicker was George Denbo. He was 6. His brother William. You had a brother named William.
I know.
Known to most of the kids as Derry Elementary School, and even to the teachers who would never have used the name to his face. His stuttering Bill was at home hacking out his last nasty case of influenza in 1957. 8 months before the real horrors began, and 28 years before the final showdown, Stuttering Bill was 10 years old. Bill had made the boat besides what George now ran. He had made it from sitting up in bed, his back propped against a pail of pillows. Is that it? Is it over?
No, keep
Oh,
reading.
there's more?
Yeah.
Okay. While their mother played Felice on the piano in the parlor, and rain swept razorlessly across the bedroom window. Have you read this before?
Yeah, what all of it?
Oh, okay.
That's why I want you to read, because it'll be interesting.
About 3/4 of the way down the block, as one headed toward the intersection in the dead traffic light, Witcham Street horses. Stenciled across each of the horses was the name Derry Department of Public Works. Beyond them, the rain had spilled out on the gutters clogged with branches and rocks and the big sticky piles of autumn leaves. The water had just first pried finger holes in the paving and then satched well-greedy handfuls. All of this by the third day of the rains. By noon the fourth day, the big chunks of the street's surfaces were boating through the intersection of Jackson and Witcham like miniature whitewater rafts. By that time, people in Derry had begun to make nervous jokes about the arcs. Public Works Department had managed to keep Jackson Street open, but Witcham was impassable from the sawhorses, all the way to the center of town. But everyone agreed the worst was over. The Kundsteg stream had crested just below the banks of the Barrens, and the bare inches below had crested. What was it?
What's today?
Jeez, Pete, man.
What? It's my stomach. Jeez.
I thought you ate. God. And the bare inches below the concrete sides of the canal had channeled it tightly as it passed through the downtown. Right now, a gang of men, Zach Denbrook and Bill's father, Farnham, were removing the sandbags they had thrown up the day before with such panicky hate. Yesterday, overflow and expensive flood damage had almost seemed to be inevitable. God knew it had happened before. The flooding 31 had been a disaster, which has cost millions of dollars and almost 24 lives. That was a long time ago, but there was still enough people around to remember it was scared of the rest. One of the flood victims had been found 25 miles east in Buckport. The fish had eaten his unfortunate gentleman's eyes, 3 of his fingers in his peanut. What? What kind of book is this?
Stephen King made it.
Most of his left foot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to read this. Clutching what remained of his hands had been a Ford steering wheel. Now through the river was receding, and when the new Bangor hydro dam went stripped, the river would cease to be a threat. Or so Dick Davenport, who worked for Bangor Hydroelectric, as far as the rest. Well, future floods could take care of themselves. The thing was to get through this one and then get the power back on, and then don't forget it. And dare such forgetting of tragedy and disaster was almost an art. Bill Dunborough would always come to discover in the course of time. George paused just beyond the sawhorse at the edge of the deep ravine. There had been a cut through the Tartar surface of Witcham Street. This ravine had been almost exactly diagonal, yet on the far side of the street, roughly 40 feet further down the hill from where he now stood, on the right. He laughed aloud. It sounds almost solitary. Childish glee. He brought a bright runner in the way of the gray afternoon. The vagary of the flowing water took his paper boat into a scale model rapids, which had been formed by the break of the ear, of the tar. Urgent water had cut a channel which ran across a diagonal, and so his boat traveled from one side of Witcham Street to the other, the current carrying it so fast that George had to sprint to keep it with it. Water sprayed out from beneath the galoshes in the muddy waters, shears. Their buckets made a jolly jingling as John Dunbar ran toward his strange death. And the feeling which filled him at the moment was clear and simple love for his brother Bill. Love and a tough regret that Bill couldn't be here to see this and be part of it. Of course, he would try to describe it to Bill when he got home, but he knew he would be able to make Bill see it. Bill would have to be able to make him see it. Their positions had been reversed. Bill was good at reading and writing, but even at his age, George was wise enough to know that he wasn't the only reason why Bill got it all A's on his report cards, or why his teachers liked his composition so well. Telling was the only part of it Bill was good at seeing. The boat nearly whistled along the diagonal channel, just a page torn from the classification of the dirty news. But now George, imagine, is a PT boat in a war movie, like the one sometimes saw down the Derry Theater at which Bill has saw on Saturday matinees. He wore a picture with John Wayne's fighting the Japs. A prow of a newspaper boat, whose sprays of the water either side rushed along, then reached the gutter on the side of William Street. A fresh streamlet rushed over the break of the tar, at this point creating a fairly large whirlpool. It seemed to him that the boat must be swamped and capsized. It learned alarmingly that George cheered as it righted itself, turned and went racing down toward the intersection. George sprinted to catch up over his head. October wind rattled the trees. No one was completely unburdened by the fright of Cotterleys by the storm, which had been this year. Okay, it's good. That's it.
Really? That's chapter 1?
Yeah, see, this is 2.
Mm-hmm.
I did 1. What's the
Okay.
name of this? It? That's the name of it?
Yep.
What's this about, a penis? You reading books about penises?
I didn't read the whole book.
That's weird, man.
Yeah.
I don't
Thanks for
wanna-
reading chapter
I
1.
don't think I want to hear about penises. Has
You can read chapter 2 to 12.
that got any penises in it?
No, not really.
Oh, okay, good.
It's about clowns.
Clown penises?
No. It's a long book. He can make anything besides clowns.
Let's watch Shitty Shitty and Bang Bang.